In the meantime, speaking of gas, Senator James Inhofe of Oklahoma is joining us right now on the Newsmaker line. Good morning to you, sir.
Well, good morning, Steve.
It's great to have you. Are you down in Oklahoma right now?
Well, I'm actually in Texas right now.
Very nice. I don't blame you. I hear you're going to go fishing shortly.
Well, you're right. You're keeping me off my boat right now. I want you to know that, Steve. But it's worth it because we got some huge things to talk about in terms of the energy. And by the way, I heard you say that it could reach $6 a gallon.
Right.
Let's keep in mind that Stephen Chu, who's the Secretary of Energy for the Obama administration, he's the one who says he wants it boosted up to be comparable to Western Europe, which is close to $8 a gallon. And I'll give you his exact quote. He said, somehow we've got to figure out how to boost the price of a gallon of gas to be comparable to Western Europe. That's the administration problem.
Well, and Senator, I mean, didn't the President of the United States say something about, I don't feel so bad about gas prices going up as high as they have. I'm just a little shocked that it happened so quickly.
Well, he did. Well, again, his Secretary of Treasury said the same thing. He said he believes that it's no longer sufficient to address the energy needs with fossil fuels. And I really believe, and I'm not saying this, I don't want to sound hysterical, but they're doing this to advance their agenda, which has always been, the global warming agenda and all that. And they know that they're losing the public sentiment. Sure. Every poll that comes out, including one, Steve, just yesterday, that the idea of global warming is not even in the top 10 environmental concerns. So anyway, they've got that problem. And I think that in the 2012 elections, you're going to see a lot of these 23 Democrat senators coming up for re-election jumping ship on him with his energy policy because people are really concerned about the price of gas.
And they are concerned about the price of gas. And people say, well, the president really can't do anything about it. It's because of the tension in the Mideast. But the president could do something about it. He could open up more oil fields and issue more permits. But right now, they say that the moratorium has been lifted, but in effect, there's still a crackdown.
Well, if you'll remember, when about 3 weeks ago the president made his speech on energy, then made another one yesterday, I guess. But 3 weeks ago, I responded on Fox to that, and he had said at that time, well, he was saying we would need to expand clean natural gas, making it sound like he was for that particular fossil fuel. And then he turned around and said, but we were going to have to do something about hydraulic fracturing. A lot of the people listening to us right now, they know what the price of gas is. They're probably not as familiar with the technique that is used to get clear natural gas out of the ground. It's called hydraulic fracturing. You're really talking to the right person now, Steve, because my state is Oklahoma. We did the first hydraulic fracturing in 1948. There's never been one documented case of groundwater contamination in the history of the thousands and thousands of hydraulic fracturing.
That's right.
That's the only way you can get natural gas. You cannot get it any other way out of these type formations.
And these United States, we've got a lot of coal and we've got a lot of natural gas. And I know that the president was at I think his town hall over at Northern Virginia Community College a couple of days ago, just outside of Washington in Annandale, Virginia, and he was talking about clean coal and natural gas. And then he said this, quote, we have a lot of natural gas here in this country, so we've got to make sure that if we're going to do it, we do it in a way that doesn't poison people. Now, wait a minute. What does that mean?
I'm reading that exact quote that you just now used. Doesn't poison people. They selectively choose their words to scare people, and that's exactly what they're doing in this case.
Senator, has it ever poisoned anybody?
It's never poisoned anyone. In fact, this big thing that happened in Bradford County, Pennsylvania yesterday, that was above ground, a surface spill, and the responsible parties are going to be cleaning it up. But that has nothing to do with hydraulic fracturing, and that's where he's trying to stop us from being able. Right now, and it's very important people understand this, CRS, that's the Congressional Research Service, came out less than a year ago. America has the largest recoverable reserves in oil, gas, and coal of any country in the world. We're talking about China, Saudi Arabia, any place else in the world. The problem we have is a political problem. We have all these MoveOn.org and all the George Soros, Michael Moore, the Al Gore followers and the Obama people won't let us drill. 83% of our public lands are off limits. We can't drill there. And we're the only country that doesn't exploit our own. We have enough gas right now to last the United States of America 100 years, natural gas, enough oil and coal. The same thing is true there. So anyway, if they can kill natural gas and oil by having the federal government run hydraulic fracturing, they'll do it.
Yeah, and right now, if you're just joining us, we're talking to Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, who currently is in Texas and about to go fishing, James Inhofe. Now, Senator, let me ask you a little bit about this. This is big news today. On Monday, Standard & Poor's, the rating agency, warned the United States that they may have to move us. For years we've had AAA rating, which is the gold standard, and that's fantastic. But they moved us from stable to negative because they didn't think that what is happening in Washington is going to result in any deficit reduction. Essentially, they've suddenly become a political pundit in this thing, saying, "Hey, Washington, you might think you're going to fix this thing, but we don't think you've got it in you." What do you know about what the so-called Gang of Six is doing? That's 3 Republicans, 3 Democrat senators who are trying to make some hard choices and find some way to save things.
Well, I don't agree with them. That's if you want to save it, look at Paul Ryan's budget and what he's trying to do. By the way, that Standard & Poor's, that's all due to one thing, and that's the debt.
Yeah.
This administration, let's keep in mind that he had total control of the House and the Senate for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
He increased our debt more than it has been increased in the previous 240 years since George Washington. And so that's the debt problem. The Gang of Six, in my opinion, is it's kind of ludicrous to me that the President of the United States in 10 minutes spent $800 billion. Now he's sitting around worrying about how can we reduce it by 20 billion here or 15 billion here. The problem is he's just spending too much money. It's his social engineering. He's not spending it on infrastructure and things that we're supposed to be spending it on, and it is affecting our rating.
Absolutely. Now the Gang of Six, unlike the president's plan, which doesn't make any real cuts to entitlements, and then you've got Paul Ryan's choice, which does make some serious cuts and turns some programs into block grants and gives the money back to states. What is it you would do to fix the hole that we've gotten ourselves into?
Well, I think that Paul Ryan has been very specific, and I don't think we could improve upon that. Now, he's got the courage to stand up and say we're going to have to get into entitlements before we really resolve the problem. But if you look, Steve, at the discretionary spending, in the president's current budget, he has, and this is just hardly believable, he has a deficit in the budget, his brand new budget he just came out with, of $1.65 trillion. Steve, I can remember back in 1995 when Bill Clinton was president, I went to the floor screaming about his budget. His budget actually that year was $1.5 trillion. That was to run the entire United States of America. President Obama's current budget has that much just in deficit increase.
Right.
And I think the American people, the wake-up call is there. They clearly know we're going to have to do something. And I know the strategy of the Obama administration is to not provide leadership, but force the Republicans, such as Paul Ryan is doing in a very capable way, so that they can point to them and say, aha, class. I heard you talking earlier about class warfare. Yeah, it's alive and well today. Soak the rich.
It is. Absolutely. Of course, and it sounds like that's going to be his tone going into the campaign. The phraseology of hope and change. You know, if you're the incumbent president, you don't want to remind people that change is an option. So instead, they're going to use the buzzword compassion. And yesterday at Facebook headquarters, he was talking about, well, you know, the government has got a social compact with America. In other words, the Democrats are going to take care of all of you, and if Republicans win the White House, win the Senate, a larger margin in the House, next thing you know, old people are going to be knocked off of Social Security and eating cat food.
That's all we're going to hear is this compassionate, well, anyway, class warfare is alive and well. But let me just share with you just what I believe, and that is I have no doubt in my mind that Republicans will take over the United States Senate. This doesn't solve the problem, though. The problem is also in the White House. And if he is still there, then we'll have to be thinking about how do we reach a majority that can override a veto. And we can't do these things if the president's going to keep vetoing, and he will.
Yeah.
We know just what he is doing.
All right. Senator, I know you've got some. What are you going to be fishing for today down there in Texas?
Out in the Bay. I used to be a developer down in the South Padre Island area.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys back east don't know about that. But,
I've actually vacationed at South Padre Island when I was living in Kansas.
Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah, that's right. From Kansas, a lot of them go down. So we occasionally go down. I've got a bunch of my grandkids and kids down here. So anyway, we're just taking a few days off.
Well, you certainly have deserved it. You guys are in for another busy couple of months on Capitol Hill. U.S. Senator James Inhofe from Oklahoma, currently about to go fishing in Texas. Sir, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. You're listening to Kilmeade.